15 years ago, they elected Charles Pugh. They was arguing so much on council that they elected Charles Pugh, and then they let Duggan come in and do his thing for the last 12, 15 years. Now, when you was
Yeah.
talking about investing in the city, the best time to invest was when they was crazy enough to put Pugh in office.
I would like to welcome everybody to the show this morning. This morning, I got a special guest. John Barlow will be coming on the show today. He is a mayoral candidate for Detroit mayor. Although I'm not there in physical, my spirit is there. And being in another state actually is bringing me a lot more. I ain't gonna say value because I already value Detroit. But trust me, Detroit is its own island. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I definitely don't want to dog anybody else. So, Detroit, we special. And, and a lot of people might say we special in some ways. When you look at the news, like I'm still connected to crime in the D and stuff like that. And I see a lot of foolishness still going on. But I see with this new mayoral race, I'm seeing a lot of positivity coming this way. So I appreciate everybody coming to the show today. I got my guest, John Barlow. He's a businessman, entrepreneur, and potential candidate for mayor of Detroit. So without further ado, I want y'all to give a warm welcome to our guest, John Barlow.
Thanks so much, Eric. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, man, and I can see you. You did that pretty fast, man. That was pretty good.
No, well, my front camera for some odd reason isn't connecting, so I'm only on my back camera, so I can't see you. I'm totally audio only, but we'll make it work.
Okay.
You know what, Eric? Eric, thanks so much for having me. Um, I totally appreciate you for giving me an opportunity to come on and just share with your listeners some of the things that's going on in and around Detroit. So, um, much kudos to you. I mentioned your name in a few circles, and they say, "Yeah, I know about pattern disruption. I know about Eric," and so I just want to continue to support people like you, doing your thing in media and otherwise.
Okay, most definitely, man. I appreciate that, man. For people who don't know who John Barlow is, let the people know who you are and a little bit of your background.
Well, real simple. Um, I'm a product of Detroit through and through. Uh, Born and raised. Played basketball most of my life. Uh, I was a hooper. Went to some of the best schools in Detroit, public education, and that's where I started to really build my sense of team, camaraderie, leadership, and it taught me a lot. And so, going to Wayne State and really just navigating uh, different subject matters, becoming that alpha, part of Alpha
Okay.
Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. But then running for city council in 2009 as a 24-year-old and one of the youngest candidates. Um, yeah, I've just been a leader pretty much all my life, trying to set a new standard, set a new bar. And so today, um, in this, especially today, I think it calls for some leaders to really step up that understand technology, understand where we're trying to go as society, kind of level the playing field and grow the middle class. That's what I do as an industry consultant. And so, all those things and being from Detroit, really traveling a lot in recent years, just made me say, why not take another shot at providing Detroit with the best leadership possible? Because it's known for potentially uh, just putting leaders in place based off of popularity. But basically, that's what led me to pursuing this mayoral office
Okay.
is really just knowing where the wealth from my peers was located at. When I grew up, we all wanted to give back to Detroit, and then everybody left, and nobody's here. And all those who made sub- a substantial amount of revenue and profit, um, just does not believe in the leadership here, and I'm here to change that. So, um,
Okay.
that, that's kind of to answer your question.
Well, I guess that kind of speaks to what inspired you to run for mayor. But what do you believe sets you apart from the rest of the candidates and the previous administration?
Well, quite frankly, Eric, I'm different. You know, I don't know if I reached out to you or you reached out to me. I think I reached out to you,
Yeah.
just to make sure that the message gets heard because I believe in every voice. I truly believe that everyone matters, and with less than 18% of the voting population coming out on a on, on a every cycle basis, um, something has to change. That means that if I walk into a room, and I did this at a career day with some high school students back at Renaissance High School, where I actually went to school at a few weeks ago. I had 10 students stand up, and they thought that at least 5 to 7 people will vote. It's only two of them that were left standing. And so I think opening the eyes of this next generation is really what I'm called to do at this moment. I can make it plain, make it digestible for all ages. And so, having that ability and being a CEO for anything that I touch just puts me in a whole different ballpark. I can go to Miami, Atlanta, DC, and do the same things I do here because of my relationships. And I believe relationships and people are worth way more than just money all the time. If you invest in people, uh, it's a lot better than any other investment in this world.
Right. Okay. I agree with that. Um, so, and that kind of speaks to what side of town were you raised on?
It's funny you asked that. Where exactly are you from again, Eric?
I'm east side of Detroit.
Okay, you're east side. What part?
I'm near City Airport.
City Airport. So
Yeah.
I
The
used
red zone.
I used to get my hair cut right there at Posey's, right there at 94 and Connor, where BB's used to be.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I know
Yeah. Yeah.
I know every part.
Right.
I went to church downriver on Sundays. That's where a lot of my base is from. Um, you can't go down there without being able to say Barlow, and someone doesn't take care of you. And so on the west side, I went to Renaissance and Bay. My mom was part of the school district, so as a secretary of the board, so I went to all the school board meetings as a young child. So I got a flavor of a little bit of everything in the city. So I don't claim just one side, but I do look out for everybody in the city, and that's what also makes me unique. I don't overlook anybody. I see every nook and
Right.
cranny of the city, and it's a big city.
Yeah. And to speak to that, you did reach out to me. Uh, I had a smaller platform at this moment. I'm growing, and I look to interview more candidates for this race. Speaking of the candidates for this race, we got Mary Sheffield, we got Fred Durhal, Santel Jenkins, James Craig. James Craig, no, he is running for mayor, right?
Yes, sir.
Jonathan Barlow, yourself, Joel Hassim. I apologize if I tear anybody's name up. Todd Perkins, Solomon Kinlock, and Rogelio Landon. Well, let me say this. Um, there are people. So Mary Sheffield, she's been her father. And I've heard about the Sheffields for a while. Tell me, well, you talked about what sets you apart from them. But tell me your long term plan for Detroit, the next 10 years.
Well, Eric, we're on the brink of something great. Technology is speeding up so quickly that it's changing the workforce. It's changing the way that we work. It's changing the way that we get to understand the place in society or the position or the career or business that we want to start. And so while things are changing, my vision is to create an international innovation hub in order to really make sure that we capture the brain trust and the thinking power of what can very well be produced tomorrow. And so, what that looks like is a mixture of Silicon Valley with the revamping of the Motor City, which says that we don't actually have to uh, necessarily program everything, but we can think very, very critically and very strategically and intentionally about producing tomorrow's uh, next solar panels or next type of EV charging stations. I'm working with a lot of women founders right now um, that are producing some great products in the solar space, in the privacy space. I got one young lady that's doing some things just to make sure that people get real opportunity to really hold their data true to themselves, rather than always going out and committing to so many other platforms. And so it's just so much that we can do here. In the next 10 years, I want to position the city to really go for the Olympics. In 62 and 68, we lost two bids and almost I think came in second uh, during those times. And I think we're just there. We just need a little acceleration, and you need a CEO and a businessman that understands how to get that done. And get this, I coach basketball. I know how to put a winning team together. You want a winner to take that seat, and you want
Yeah.
someone who can make one phone call and get any star power, any dignitary, any ambassador to any other country, especially over in Africa where there's so much value that we can make partnerships. And you want somebody that can call the White House. Trust me, when I go to Miami, I know where they sit their boats at. When from Maryland, I go to Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood, all the way to Miami. If you know the network, you can get inside and make the deals. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm Jonathan Barlow. And this is a nonpartisan race. And I don't want us getting caught up on popularity, partisan politics, when you can actually put somebody in there to do a job and do it well and represent the city well.
Okay. Well, that sounds good, man. Mike Duggan, when he got in office, I noticed that the investment, it, it, it was a lot of more investment than it was in the last previous administrations, going all the way back. That's definitely what we need, man. That's one of the things that changed the city and kind of put us in that, I ain't gonna even say a downward spiral, but we just been sitting still for a long time. And in these last 8 years, because I think he's been in there 2 terms, right?
Three,
Yeah. In the last 8 years, Detroit has
three,
changed.
three terms.
Oh, three
I
terms.
think three. Yeah,
Okay. Well, there's been a lot of change. Everybody's not going to agree on everything, but one thing we can agree on is that we got downtown is better than ever. We got we got some investors that have really put their stake in the ground. Dan Gilbert, just a few different investors that put their stake in the ground and they believe in the leadership. And we need to keep that going. What do you say to people who feel like the establishment may not take to a younger, fresh, new ideas?
So, so get this. Can you see me okay? Because I
I
can't
can
see.
see.
Because I can't see
Okay, I see
you. um, again, I took care of my great grandmother. I took care of my grandmother, and with my grandmother having 5 strokes and breast cancer, um, she was a survivor. She grew up with Rosa Parks, and so I understand the senior plight right now. Um, and they have a different plight than what the high school or the college student is having. And so you really have to speak to everybody where they are. You can't come in so aggressive that you overlook anybody. And so again, what I bring to the, to, to this seat and to this office and to this city is just a fresh, clean energy. A fresh, clean energy that says we don't have to play politics as usual. We can actually have a government that works. We can have a leader that looks out for everybody. And we can actually come together as a village and make Detroit community again. And so I just want to reach every family and bring money, jobs, and homes to the city in the best way possible.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How do you plan to attract sustainable jobs and support small businesses in Detroit?
Well, you got to think, I'm a businessman. I go around the country not only working with black mayors to go after more federal funds so that they can create more zones for different businesses to come into the city. But quite frankly, Eric, when you're in the network and you're in the know and you know what's coming tomorrow and you know what's sustainable, you know what to go get. You know the incentives to provide. You know the way to build the community. So everything plays off of each other. Trust me. I don't want to even begin to tell you the different things that we're leaving on the table because our leadership doesn't take charge and facilitate an atmosphere of collaboration. They always call people to the table and say, "Oh, we're listening to you. Oh, we hear you." That's just pacifying the situation. When I talk about really full engagement and increasing the civic engagement, not only do I want to increase the voter turnout this election, and I plan on doing it by talking to individuals like yourself more and more every day and every week, but I want, when I get into office, to create a citizen dashboard so everyone has a way of navigating the city, getting the resources that they need, and really getting to the next level of life, empowering and leveling up so that everybody can be a winner. And so ultimately, when you look at my background, I've been around the longest. I've helped the most people throughout my ministry in church, sitting on different boards in churches. I've worked with the Catholics, the Lutherans, the Baptists, the Kojic. I've worked with them all. No other candidate can say these type of things. Like I have to remember sometimes everything that I've done, just so that I can remind people. It's hard to remember all these things, but I have to remind people that I've wore these hats and I've been on the front lines this whole time. But I stay outside. I stay away from the camera. So when they look at the other candidates, you know, you all you can say is this: if we're in the same place we were 15 years ago, and it took Duggan to come in and call some money up to get inside the city, then you want somebody that you got to think about who you want next. It's no
Yeah.
more just, oh, they look good on paper, they've been in office, or they ran an organization, nonprofit, church, law firm. It doesn't matter what they've done. If they haven't traveled the country, talked to Senator Warnock down in Ebenezer, understand why we don't have prisoner reentry, mass incarceration, and decriminalization all working hand in hand nationally, then you can't tell me why our black brothers can't get a job or can't get um to the next place in society because you ain't went and did your homework. So while everybody talks about politics, I don't buy into all that. I'm about real progress and real solutions.
Okay. No, that's real, man. I me doing some traveling, and that is definitely something that you need to do in order to really recognize where we can go and where we are. You know what I mean? You look at certain places; they have so much development, and then we see a couple cranes here and there in Detroit, and we think we're doing something. we haven't even, you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of what we can really do. So that most definitely, man, we definitely need something like that and leadership that has been around and is experienced with growth and where we can go. Um, so let me ask you this: when it comes to public safety, man, that's a major thing because people, the people that's causing trouble not gonna just disappear, and we want the neighborhoods to be safe. And if we're gonna have a development that I see in other states, one thing I notice in these other states is the downtown and the city, the neighborhoods around it are safe enough so that lady can run down the street with that dog and walk her baby. You know what I mean? And the schools are decent because public schools, you- you're not gonna get the same thing you may get at a Ivy League private school, but you still need to have good quality public schools. So let me ask you this: what's your plan for improving public safety while also building the trust with the police and the community?
All right, that's that's a great question. Um, let's be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. The, no other leader really goes to the streets. Like,
Right,
let's be honest. When the last time you seen an elected official in a motorcycle club?
right,
Well, I bet I do you one better. When the last time you seen an elected official walk into one of the trap houses?
exactly.
There's a great disconnect between current leadership and what and what we consider those who have been disenfranchised or that live on the outskirts, right? And so my when you don't see people and when you can't at least attempt to inspire them and create safe and smart neighborhoods in which everybody is accountable to each other and we're building together, then that's when crime increases. And so I think Zeke and New Era, Mr. Blue and the Detroit 300 and groups like that have to be able to also collaborate with other organizations to make this a full village uh, mission to really keep everybody safe. I've been a victim of armed robbery. That's why I started traveling more because because Detroit just wasn't going to take me out like that. You know what I mean? I had to switch up my routine, but I know what it feels like. Um, it, to have your cars broken into after you done had a long day at work, or you ready to get up and go to work, and your car sit on bricks. It it used to be real bad. Now
Yeah,
it, it,
yeah,
it's manageable, but it's still not to the level to where we're bringing hope back. We're reknitting and reweaving that fabric of hope called family. And I think
yeah,
when you talk about safety, you got to talk about the home environment as well as the community environment. We all suffer from some type of trauma. It's just about how are we dealing with those traumas and how are we uh, getting to the solution of them. And that has a ripple effect from one individual to their family and then over and spills over into the community. And we have to get as many hands on deck to really address those type of situations. And so when you look at someone like me who uh, is a minister, works with organizations, has the awareness, I help fingerprint when they changed the system for doing background checks for teachers and things of that nature.
mhm,
I help uh, go around to all the schools and fingerprint all the teachers to get into the system. So I know process, I know public safety, I know it better than most. Um, if people really do their background and look at who my family is and how they navigate, my grandfather was I believe I think they call them Tinkertons or Tinkertons or some Pinkertons, the civil police back when he came up from Alabama. So I mean, it's just in my blood, man. I gotta look out for people. That's part of providing, protecting, and and looking out for a community.
Okay. Well, just to let you know, man, I feel the energy, and that's one thing that you need when you're doing a campaign and you kind of coming from being flat-footed and not saying that you don't have motion in politics. Have you ever done anything else in politics in the city?
Yeah. So again, I ran for city council back in
Okay,
2000,
yeah,
2000,
2009. Yep.
2009. We came in the top 40. We didn't spend any money. We just wanted to see who would vote for us. We did get out there and campaign. This time, if you look anywhere, I have the most views on social media.
Hmm.
I have the most mobile billboard trucks out on the street. Um, I have the most banners going up within the next 7 days. I'm doing the
Okay.
most, and I'm self-funded. I'm not taking nobody money. So get this: when you look at all the PAL teams, when you look at all the sports teams, when you don't really ask the real people who they voted for, they gonna tell you. They gonna tell you either G Herbo or that guy named Barlow. That's what they probably gonna tell you. I don't know if they know my real name or if they just still calling me G Herbo out there on social media. But I'll tell you this, man. When it get down to it, I want to touch the most hands. I want to still impact the most lives, win, lose, or draw, because I'm building a winning campaign. I want to make sure that not only Detroiters win, but we set the example for other cities to win. And after we get done with this campaign, you might see a Let's Win Atlanta. You might see a Let's Win DC. We might take this on the road because we're all about engagement, but we're all about really helping Detroiters first right now. And that's my only job in this season. And I think I can set the tone to even usher in a new generation of young leadership, like I did over there at New Leaders Council when me and Ken Harris saw the organization and needed to bring it back to Detroit. Even Dev Color, I'm about to go after Dev Color right now. It's an organization on the West Coast that really accelerates and helps organizations like Black Tech Saturdays cultivate their talent and really create clusters of founders and teams to really go after the world's problems. Let me ask you this. Do you know how many billionaires and centillionaires and millionaires are in Dubai?
I don't know exactly, but it's
Well, let me just say this. There's at least 20, I think at least like 20 something billionaires, about like 200 something centillionaires, like 100 millionaires, and then
okay.
approximately like it's a few thousand millionaires or something like that.
Right.
So you see the growth that Dubai has, right?
Hmm.
You want to know what else is in Dubai?
What's that?
The Museum of Future. You gonna have to look
Okay.
it up. The Museum of Future. Ask any.
Museum of Future.
Yeah, I guarantee you, most any other candidate probably won't even tell you nothing like this. But think about this: millionaires, money, the future, the most growth, probably
Yeah.
across the world. That's what you need. You need somebody that understands that. And if anybody and nobody's telling us that, then we're not stepping up our game as a community, as a people, to get financially sound, to understand what's the trickle down effect, what's the international economy look like, what does tech look like, what does innovation need to look like, and how do we prepare ourselves? And I'm ready to usher us into that future. And if ain't nobody with me, they go hear this message for the next 4 years and and try to figure out why are we in the same spot. And it's because I didn't get elected.
Well, I'm gonna say this, man. I've watched some of some of the things that you post, and I follow you, so I see a lot of your interviews, and I understand that one thing that's consistent again is the optimism, the energy, and people don't understand how valuable that is. Like if you can foster hope in somebody, you could give them a future. You can take them from the pits of depression and that's kind of what Detroit we came from. I remember when all the street lights were out in Detroit. And I don't know if you remember that. Like, so they literally cut all the street lights out for years, and that right there was supposed to that did so much damage to the outlook and future outlook. People made decisions then to leave. You know what I'm saying? You know, and in full transparency, I left the end of last year, and it wasn't because it was more of a spiritual journey for me versus because this is the best time to be investing in Detroit. This is actually not the best time to be leaving. This time to be coming back if you did leave, if you ask me. But that spiritual journey is not going to wait for that. You know what I mean? So, like I tell people, that is it's a different type of spreadsheet when it comes to God and the spiritual part of it. Tell me a little bit about your spiritual background and how you feel about that and how that plays a part in your election and once you get elected.
Man, it's so many things that you just said, man. Um, they got my mind all over the place. If I ever, yeah, I'm gonna have to start telling interviewers like, if I ever don't answer your question, re-ask me the question because I get off into what you said. What I mean, you framed the question, but I'm gonna get to the spiritual. I'm gonna end it with spiritual. So, um, I'm a disruptor, and that's why I like the title of your podcast, Pattern Disruption. um,
Yeah,
because I'm a full disruptor. You almost, to me, you have to disrupt yourself every day to break out that mold to be able to be that new you. That,
every
that,
day.
that every day.
Yeah,
It's
yep,
almost like every second you need to do it, but at least take it day by day, right?
right.
Um, and so I'm totally about disruption. And you talked about you almost start preaching right there, where you start talking about the pit, people being in the pit of depression and really needing hope. I believe Detroiters have stopped dreaming. I believe how can we say that we're this creative genius and this multifaceted people and these powerful creatures, and we ain't created nothing.
Right.
It boggles my mind that we limit ourselves and put a glass ceiling on what's possible. But it's because we're lazy, we procrastinate, and our leaders have totally distracted us by arguing, by not being together. It's like they argue so much back when. So this is tie me into the
Spiritual.
to the spiritual. After I tell you about also what happened 15 years ago. 15 years ago, they elected Charles Pugh. They was arguing so much on council that they elected Charles Pugh, and then they let Duggan come in and do his thing for the last 12, 15 years. Now, when you was
Yeah.
talking about investing in the city, the best time to invest was when they was crazy enough to put Pugh in office.
Right.
And so, because we couldn't really capture generational wealth for the last 15 years, because we still distracted by the people that were there and just good that they weren't arguing as much. I believe right now that the leadership position calls for a leader that is spiritually sound and willing to hear the hearts of the people and be able to see everybody. I, I can't even begin to tell you so much about how, because I did a podcast Sunday,
Okay.
excuse me, with Dwight Wise, uh, who I've known for some years, and it was a testimony podcast. You got to go check it out, because I really went in depth about kingdom building, and I believe that kingdom building starts with before you even get to salvation. It really gets to just sharing God's love. And every day I wake up trying to make somebody better. I slip up sometimes. I mean, I'm not perfect in no way, shape, or form. The people closest to me, uh, they might see some sides of me that don't nobody want to see because I want to help so many people. And anybody that limits me or tries to get in my way of helping somebody else, oh my God, Ooh, ooh, you don't want to see me, bro. I'll run through a brick wall, but somebody that's standing on the side of the road with a sign, because 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 if we're not helping them, then we're not doing our job. And so I I just I every I walk as much as possible um in, in line with what I believe God has purposed us all to do, which is be community, make as many help as many people as possible, and help those that are being left out. And so that's my number one goal, is to constantly listen to God's voice so that I'm reminded of my values when it comes to my management style and what I bring to really dealing with a budget and making sure that everybody's accounted for.
So yeah, you talked about being an entrepreneur and a businessman. What exactly is your business?
Okay, so a lot of people want to find out what my businesses are. Let me be honest with you, man. I have created and made so many people so much money that it doesn't make sense. Um, and normally, in most cases, I don't take any. I don't take any direct profit from it. Specifically, and I'm gonna tell you the businesses that I made. I'm not evading your answer, but I don't take any of the profit from it because I cherish relationships and a lot of things that I do and putting founders in position. Like go ask right now, Delaney Purnell. Delaney Purnell raised one of the the most money as a black VC at the time that he did. I think like 300 million for doing high school competitive video games. A platform that he had created. He worked at Rocket Fiber with a young man named Mark Hudson. But I introduced Delaney to Brian Smiley. Brian Smiley, the- now Delaney just raised 300 million. I could have got a cut of that if I really wanted to, right? I introduced him to Brian Smiley. Brian Smiley helps him out, but guess who Brian Smiley is? Brian Smiley is a former Renaissance grad alumni that went to school with me. That's over at Kevin Hart Studios as the head of business over there. Is probably pretty much running the place. He's the one who
Okay,
made um fighting what is it, Fight Night with Kevin Hart in them.
right.
So it's about having these relationships. Now the business that I made it. I did some. I created some businesses in Dominican Republic over the last several years, both real estate and sorry about the background noise, but both in real estate and also um, in beauty and fashion. I had a nail salon over there. I kind of let those go, gave them away to some of the people that I was sponsoring. It was kind of a project that I did to try to create economic development over there. So I did that internationally. Um, uh,
What part of Dominican Republic?
Actually, Puerto Plata.
Okay,
But during COVID, uh, we pretty much helped other countries get COVID tests, and so we created a company during that time just to make sure that COVID test was flowing properly from country and city to city. And so you just gotta you just got to know when to get in the game and get out of the game in some instances. And me as a consultant, I don't find a lot of value in long-term projects, mainly because what ends up happening is that you have to micromanage and
yeah,
really deal with a group of people. So even though I might consult a company to dissolve or do a turnaround or try to scale, I normally only come in as a CEO for a certain amount of time, and that's why this position is perfect for me because I'm not trying to be here for the rest of my life. I believe in succession. I believe in new leadership. And I have more goals than just being the mayor of the city of Detroit. I'm not trying to just stop there. This is for me to really settle down and be in the city. That's really something that's a passion project for me. It's not something that I just have to stop and do because I believe we have greater international opportunities and missions, both for African Americans, but for minorities in general, and really leveling the playing field. I plan on with my tech company. I do have a tech company as well. as well as a partnership with a sports agency, in which we do a lot of uh, uh, activations around tech, and we mainly focus on football, but we do some basketball and stuff like that. But I got my hands in a lot of things. Like if people just go to my website, barlow.app, they'll see everything I touch. I got a book that I haven't even released yet. You feel me? So it's a lot of things on the plate.
You sound like me, man, with the books that you haven't released.
Yeah, if you go to my website, like they'll see the books. Like that's why on some of these threads, I'm gonna call them out on social media. On some I reply to, some I don't. I choose. I pick and choose. I'm like Kevin Durant or um some of those other celebrities that I get. Sorry, there's a big old water truck outside. I get into social media debate with you for a hot second. I'm not gonna spend my whole day there, but
Right.
uh,
What's your website again?
BARLOW.app. I created Let's Talk Roundtable last year. That's one of the biggest things that I could have done leading up to this political season and this election cycle, which was I brought 300 leaders to over 12 roundtables, um, just to discuss topics. If you go to letstalkroundtable.com, you'll see the work that I do. I did that all out of pocket just to build conversation so it can move to collaboration. Like, if people really understand how much I'm working on a whole another national project to really change advocacy for different emerging industries, similar to how cryptocurrency did it. Like, it again, me stopping to do mayor is really something that I believe Detroit would benefit from. And
Right.
man, I can't tell you the things that we can do if I get to see. Like, if y'all really believe in hope and things just transforming right in front of your eyes for everybody, put me a know.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if I got this right, but www.barlow.app.
.app. Yeah, did that come up?
Well, actually, I was going to show it on the. I'm just showing it on the screen.
I hope it's still up. I ain't checked my server. I ain't checked my server in the last 3 days. I don't know what sites are down.
Well,
I manage about 100 sites on my servers, give or take, just my personal sites and other stuff. So ain't no telling
okay.
when somebody might try to hack me or something like that.
So let me ask you this: what role should the mayor play in improving public schools, and how will you support the youth outside the classroom?
Man, let me tell you something. Again, I'm a different candidate, and people really have to go do their background on me. But you can go ask anybody. Remember, I told you I fingerprinted all the DPS staff.
Right.
Um, I also worked at Central High School, and I also worked in Durfee. And so, and I also coach. So I know what the families need. I understand Detroit Parent Network. I understand the different Detroit public school foundations. My mom was the secretary of the board for the Detroit Public Schools back in the 90s. I understand how the board members work. And so when I tell you day one, I'm going to meet with the superintendent and the board members, and we're going to have a great talk about how we're going to wrap resources around those 5,000 families that are homeless and totally, that's 10% of the whole DPS population. Now you telling me we can't put our minds together to get some of these families off the street? So I want to make it a mission day one when I meet with them to get 500 of those families off the street in the first 30 days. And you can't tell me that we can't put our minds together and do that. So again, if you don't really have a leader that's talking about those type of drastic changes for the betterment of people who are getting left out, then I don't know what you're doing. So get this. If they don't want to talk game, I'm the only one in 2017 who changed legislation and wasn't even elected. I put two initiatives on the ballot to really make sure that we had the city get millions of dollars from one of the emerging markets that was coming. And then instead of them following the people's voice and really extending my efforts, because I showed them what was possible, They lost us 250 million over the next 4 years from 18 to 22. So I mean, the best thing I could tell you is this: I know how to go get money, and I know how to help students and families get to the next level. But it's really about understanding education, and understanding charter and DPS, and I'm the one that can bring those things together to really help everybody win. But it's about reaching every family and making sure that family has a sustainable quality of life, so that no one gets left behind and no one falls through the gaps.
Okay. Well, and shout out to Don Burr, Detroit. He said Don. What did he say? He said Detroit East Side, Mac Ave, King High School. And then also shout out to a early story, Peace and Love, Africa. So that's somebody in Africa. Okay. Okay.
Uh, Shout out to King High
So,
School.
oh yeah, most definitely. I went to King myself.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about housing and gentrification. How will you hold? Because I'm a landlord in Detroit, although I'm not living there now. But how will you hold landlords and developers accountable while still encouraging growth?
Well, this is not a real complex or complicated issue, but ultimately it is a relationship building issue. Excuse me. The the our housing market is experiencing a number of different things. But let me tell you what we need to do. We need to build relationships with landlords and tenants better. We need to foster that relationship better because too many disputes are happening, and a lot of times the landlord just doesn't know all of their rights or how to deal with the tenant properly and communicate properly. And so we just need to make that a better relationship. Secondly, we need to make sure that while we get these families off the streets, that we stop tearing down so many homes and start rebuilding homes properly, and making sure that we don't get rid of our housing stock. And so that's incentivizing people to get after uh, pretty much blow up the land bank because that's what really needs to happen. They have a nice $30 million worth in reserves. They're not getting any more funding from the city, pretty much. And so we need to make sure that that housing inventory really starts to go to legacy Detroiters who can rehab these houses and get families in them and build that relationship process to really get families off out of rental, but then into ownership, through a pipeline of tiny homes and other things that some churches are starting. And so, I have a real strategic initiative when it starts to talk about community innovation hubs and building that affordable housing around it, so that everyone thrives in these communities in a very intentional way. You have to have people that lit, get this. Most of our employees that work for the city and for our service departments like police and fire and our teachers, they don't live in the city. They
Yeah,
come to work
yeah,
in the city, but they don't live in the city. We got to incentivize for them to get back in. So when I build this citizen dashboard, I want to be able to start to offer probably up to $10,000 to every family. That's my goal. It's $10,000 to every family in different vouchers and incentives for really contributing, but also based off of their profile, being able to connect them with the resources properly, to really live in the city. And that starts with our employees first. But you have to have someone that loves Detroit, to understand really how to make sure that everybody has a roof over their head. And that's what I mean by reaching every family.
yeah, yeah. Okay. And see, that's one thing that because they did. I remember they put an inventory of new houses in all these different areas in Detroit, and literally within years they were burned down and dilapidated. It was just you know, it was pitiful. But whatever that is that causes us to, it's got to be a rebranding, and it's got to be hand to hand, like you say. You got to go and talk to people because most of those are probably renters, and I don't want to put that on there because at the time I rent, so you can't say all. You know what I'm saying? So, but what I'm saying is, it's this it's this culture that we have in the city where we're not taking ownership and responsibility for the areas around us. My grandmother used to make me walk out because we were on out of drive. So I would have to clean up everything around my house. And I used to ask my grandma, why are we out here picking up paper and we don't live on this side? You know what I'm saying? But she would do it because she wanted to get the people next door to want to do it. Most of the time they didn't, but they would give us a nice nod or a smile. So we knew they knew what was going on. Um, we have to how do you get because you know how you get owners because they're invested. How do you touch these people that are renting and get them to be more engaged in the neighborhood and not throwing paper out everywhere they go? You know what I mean? Because we got a huge problem with that in Detroit.
I think it starts with the leadership. Again, we talked about earlier. You never seen a leader go really to the streets or to the block, right? When's the last time you seen a leader pick up something? When's the last time? What like how like I know the mayor of the city not supposed to be cutting his grass, but when the last time you seen a mayor go cut a senior's grass and go paint a senior's curb and set the standard? He you talking about the leader of one of the most historical cities in the world has not who has the most lawnmowers probably in the Metro Detroit region, and you're telling me he can't go grab one and cut one lawn
Yeah,
and set the example? That's because none of them uh, other candidates and none of those other leaders even care about Luther keeping the Rise Detroit Neighborhoods Day. They just care
yeah,
when Motor City Makeover comes around and they can hop in front of a camera. They don't know where the real work starts. Motor City Makeover is cool. I like it. It's all right. But when you look at the resources that it has, and then look at the historic and the type of impact that Arise Detroit neighborhoods they have, you have to look at the linkages between the two, and you have to create the extended engagement year long. And so, again, it's about inspiring hope from the top, from that top office. And you're gonna when you hear my ideas, I hope if not elected, leaders really come back and listen because I'm really giving them game. I'm,
yeah,
I'm, I'm really telling them how to get this done, and I'm really giving them all my ideas so that at least they try to be the leader that we all want. Because I'm not, I don't think I'm saying nothing off just out of my neck or out of my face. The side of my neck is not like that. Out of the side of my face, like I'm really trying to encourage us to do better as a people, and it
yeah.
starts with leadership.
Okay, so Broderick, no, let me see. I think you spoke on this, but Esper Alexander, shout out to Cuz Esper. He said, ask what your economic plan is for the city. I think you kind of touched on it.
Yeah, yeah. So I have an 11-page plan that I've gave to the media that I'm gonna go ahead and publish and put on the website. None of my candidates, the other candidates, have seen it unless they got it from a mole or something. Uh, but this 11-page plan talks about investments, jobs, and homes. And so when you really start talking about investments, I have a 10-year phase-in incentive package for businesses and corporations to come into the city. But with that 10-year investment phase-in, it means that I want to index all the outputs, meaning that I want to make sure that everything that they commit to gets done based off of their incentives. That means if they don't give jobs, they don't get incentives to Detroiters that need it. If they don't give back to the community, then it's no more creating community benefits agreements separate of the incentive packages. So ultimately, I want to make sure and hold them accountable, like I've always tried to do, uh, down and down, uh, like I've always done down and down river with Marathon, or when cannabis came around, I made sure all of them had as many community benefits agreements as possible. But we do a bad job in enforcing it and really following up and making sure that they're held accountable. So I'll be honest with you. When it comes to economics, I'm not gonna give the city away. they're trying to give too much of it away as it is. If you
Yeah,
don't give anything back, you're not getting nothing from the city, and that goes for everybody. That goes for
yeah,
like 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 we have to do a better job of guarding what God has blessed us with, and what we as the city should be um, responsible and a good steward over. And so, with high water rates uh, and high property taxes, you need someone who understands that day one, we need to start to work towards property taxes immediately coming down. But it starts with some rent control mixed with a few programs around affordable housing, dealing with the land bank, and I know which lever to pull to make all those things add up to where resident gets as much as possible to win every day. And that means getting to a place where we can afford it. We're not worried about the next day trying to put a meal on our table, and we're not worried about uh, whether or not we got running water and the lights coming on. It's that simple.
yeah, yeah. And with us giving the water authority, whoever that is, we, I remember Coleman Young trying to fight against that. Let's not give the water away. We got some of the best water in the country. Let's not give it away. And we eventually, once I think I'm not sure, so don't quote me on this, but once Duggan got in office, we the water authority was created, and then also we gave Belle Isle away. We put a, what was it, a 90-year lease on Belle Isle. So yeah, and one of the jewels, one of our main jewels of the city. But so we got to get away from letting people privatize everything, because you know what happens. You're a businessman. You know what that means to
Man,
businessman. To a businessman, it's a great
man.
idea, but the people get the bad end of the stick. What do you think about that?
Bro, it happens right in front of our face and we buy it every time. You got to
Yeah,
think, they just stole 40 million from the waterfront. But we had elected officials sitting over there on the board. I get this. Everybody in charge right now, everybody in charge, get them all out of here.
yeah,
Get them all out of here. We losing money, bro. I just told you how the city could have brought in uh, 250 extra $1 million between 2018 and 22, and then they let them in still 40 million. That's 300 million, bro. Our budget ain't nothing but 3 billion. That's
yeah,
10% right there, just in the two things I named. Not to mention everything else that we're doing. So when you talk about economic plan, when you talk about leadership in general and uh, what they really advocate or speak out about, and what their management and stewardship is, man, if I gave you the bag and you lost all the money, I ain't giving you the bag no more. So get them all out of here, man.
yeah, yeah. Real talk. So Broderick Williams, he said, shout out to Brod for sending a few good questions. He said, as far as crime, ask why it's so difficult for urban communities to bring back police walking the beat up and down the blocks in the neighborhood instead of policing outside surrounding areas until something happens.
Man, I'll tell you this much: they they don't build relationships the right way. They make you come to them to go to neighborhood policing and stuff like that. You know, the police is cool for who they have that have been there that understand, but they're I think they lack a lot of programming when it means to interact with um, community preventively before
Yeah,
anything happens and proactively. And so I'm all about, again, relationship building, reaching every family so that we all can win. And so if the police take on the mentality that we're going to touch every family before something happens, then what does that do? They get insight. They can stop things before it happens. They can they can mitigate, they can get a heads up. Like, there's so many things that we can do rather than just sitting behind a desk waiting for something to happen. Too long, we've
no,
been waiting for the future to come to us, and then we're on the defense. I'm all about offense. I'm all about. See,
yeah,
I was a point guard, baby, but I was a hustler, and I was a even though I started, when it was time for me to come back off the bench during the game, it's because something needed to shift, something needed to change, and so
yeah,
that starts with really. getting the ball back and really driving driving into your enemy and into the situation so that you can become successful. Now, ultimately, when you really look at when you really look at what we can do uh, as a unit and as a team, we can be undefeated if we put our minds together. A lot of things aren't complicated. We just make them
Right.
overly complicated, man.
So let me ask you this: Who are your? Because you said you're not a Democrat or a Republican. Who are your biggest influences politically
Well,
and personally, and how have they shaped your leadership style?
well, I've worked with the Democrats and I've worked with the Republicans. I'm always about getting the vote out and getting voices heard. So I'm never going to leave anybody out. Some of my biggest influences politically um, have been a mixture. It depends on what they stand for, uh, or what I'm taking and gleaning from it. I don't think anybody's been perfect, but I do look at some of the ones that have inspired hope. You can look at the Frederick Douglass, FDRs, and the JFKs, and the Barack Obamas, and you can see how they kind of created a paradigm shift, and the Bill Clintons. But you can also look at I'm a political strategist, so I'm always looking at profiles, who's really mastered their base and why. You got to give it to Trump. How in the world did he pull this stuff off?
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
still, and
I said that to somebody. Like they're gonna have to study this man's brain, man.
bro, I study him every day because regardless of what he's doing, he's effective at what he's doing. Um,
Yeah,
just like you can't say that Duggan wasn't effective at what he's
yeah.
doing. You can
Doug was a write-in in an all-black city, and he
come
never
on,
lived here.
come on, bro.
Like
You got,
how do you do that?
bro. You
But go ahead.
no,
Let
no,
me.
no, 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 no. Go ahead. No, no, no.
Well, my point was, how do you do that in an all-black city, being a white man from? I'm not sure where he was from, but he wasn't. I don't think he slept one night in Detroit, and then he goes in as a write-in, and we write him in. But that has a lot to do with, like you say, you're a consultant. So you look at the story that was created prior to the election. So we had the street lights off. We had the backdrop of our prior mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick. Everything was set up for any. We just wanted hope at that point, and that's why they were calling him the Great White Hope because uh, you know nowhere in history, well, it's probably in histories, but in Detroit history, no one had did that in the all black city.
You're right.
So what Trump did, coming from from January 6th, coming from grab them by whatever, for him to do this again, you definitely have to be strategic in how you move because whatever you feel about him, the person that you do like and want to be in office, you got to make sure they have some of those skills in order to make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it right there on the nail. That um, whatever their agendas are, they've been they've been successful at implementing it. Um, like it or not, and that's when you put your business hat on, and business doesn't see color; it sees green. Either you made money, or you had losses. It's one or the other. You're either in black or the red. It ain't no gray. And so, you you really got to look at why were they successful. They're successful because they're business minded and they know how to really get a job done, and that means having good relationships and having good techniques of um, implementing a vision or implementing a plan. And so you will not see another candidate that has a plan as comprehensive or extensive as mine, or different agendas for different audiences, such as teachers, educators, uh, our skills trade. creating a workforce pipeline. I look at get this. I look at international landscapes. So looking at a city landscape and looking at its ecosystem, and then looking at how we sit on the border of Canada, you don't understand how much of a blank canvas and opportunity and potential we really have to carve out something that really doesn't exist anywhere. And so, when you have vision and when you know how to plan and execute and build, you can put people to work. You can bring them money. You can get them at homes, and you can make sure that they win. And that's what I intend to do. I intend to reach every family and make sure that people like you continue to get the word out about what's possible, what disrupts, what's spiritually sound and good for all people, what spreads God's love, and what really allows us to come together and make sure that we all win. Because you can only be effective as much as you bring people along with you. You can't be effective by yourself. Can't no mayor go in there and do it all by themselves. They have to build the atmosphere for everybody, and especially and that starts at City Hall.
And speaking about yourself, are you married?
Oh no, 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 no. We're not married yet. Um,
Not married.
I say that because I've semi-adopted. I had somebody that was taken care of over in Dominican Republic. He's Haitian. Hadn't been around his family from the age of 11 to like 18. I was able to help him reunite with his family. Again, remember I took care of my grandmother and great grandmother. I took care of
Yeah,
my
yeah, I
mother.
did too. Shout out to all the caregivers out there.
Yeah, I took care of my mother. I mean, not my mother, but my mother had breast cancer at one time, as a survivor, and so I've been in a situation, and we've always opened up our home almost like a haven. We get teased a lot because it ain't really our house. Everybody came and live with us, and so um, my personal space hasn't been as frequent as I would love to really hone in and build a family with someone. And quite honestly, I wanted so much experience to put me in position for such a time as this that
Yeah,
I sacrificed that part. And I think I can get to that part at some point. But that once you fulfill your purpose, it's easier to understand what type of mate that you really need in order to continue to create consistency and support you. And so I think as I continue in the next few years, we might consider that. But
okay,
between being a youth pastor and things over the course of time, we've helped a lot of kids.
okay. Most definitely, most definitely. And that purpose, man. I heard that word purpose, and I know what that means. To be for a man on purpose, for anybody on purpose, but especially for a man. And a lot of times you can sacrifice a lot of things, and sometimes marriage is one of them, and families. You get purposes when it calls, you have to go.
Yeah,
So, and that may not be local; it may be international.
yeah,
So, Veronica Estelle, shout out to Veronica. She said, definitely lacking accountability. I think that was based on when you were talking about our last point. I just pulled it up though, but shout out to Veronica Estelle. But she said the city is definitely lacking accountability. Oh no, it might be when we talked about the privatizing and stuff like that. I'm not sure,
yeah,
Veronica,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
probably around incentives and stuff like that. But get this, again, with technology, we can create more transparency. And so,
yeah,
again, you want somebody that's technology sound in order to make sure that we see what's going on, and us as citizens get the information about what we want to ask. You should be able to ask how many jobs did Rocket Mortgage give to our people that live in our communities that are African
yeah,
American, and the city should be able to tell you. The city should be able to tell you, or Rocket Mortgage, or Dan Gilbert should be able to tell you, or Mike Evans should be able to tell you. Those are who these agreements are with. So if
right,
the city can't tell you these things, which it can't, this is one thing that I don't think this current administration does enough. It doesn't really understand how to update information real time and things like that. So accountability is my number one goal in terms of not only making sure performance-based departments are put in place and standards are put in place so that our employees come ready to perform, produce, and to work on the job, but also exactly what you just said, to make sure that the citizens know what's going on and can ask simple questions and get very direct answers and not the runaround. And that goes to the one-stop business centers that will be in the communities to streamline development, to make sure that these businesses get around this affordable housing, and then nobody's concerned about when is the new thing coming to my side of town.
Okay, and so we've been on about an hour, man. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're a busy man, but let me say this: so if you don't win this election, how will you continue serving Detroit?
So I don't mind serving Detroit in an international capacity. Again, I play at a whole nother level, and so any given day I could be on any side of the world. If not pursuing leadership in Detroit, I've held and done pretty much all the positions that I wanted to in Detroit. But again, get this: for the last 15 years, no mayor has called me. I've changed laws and no mayor has called me. No city council person calls me until they want to get elected. So if our leadership doesn't try to keep talent like me in Detroit, then what is it doing, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. No, that's
come on,
real.
man. All my wealthy friends
Yeah,
are gone just because of this reason, and I don't have any reason to really do anything specific besides continue to do ministry, win in town, continue to lift others up, that I continue to build relationships with. All Detroiters know they can give me a call, and I'll do my best to help fix their problem. People send me shout to their house all the time and say, "You got a program for this and stuff like that." So I've always been a resource, but like, when do I start a family, right?
right. Exactly. Um, so I guess in closing, man, um, you got the primary August 5th. We got the election November 5th. What does a day look like for you? You doing press? You're doing
Yeah.
campaigning? What does a day look like?
Every day we're out there on the streets. Right here, I'm in the Commons off of Mac. Um, that's being ran by Mac Development. I just wanted to come over here and do this because I love this place. Here goes a little coffee cup. Boom. Um,
Oh yeah, you're in the comments right
yeah,
there around the corner.
bro,
I grew up right there off Mac and Rome's. That
man.
was one of my places.
Yeah, I'm upstairs. Great workspace. They let you come up here and just be a part of the atmosphere. I mean, get this. I can go downtown and pay a bundle for a shared workspace, or I can come right here, and it's a free resource in the community, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
we just got to really use our resources. So a day with me means that I'm coming to places like this, meeting Detroiters, meeting young people, young business people that are just working, going business to business, just being out there in the community. I do that every single day right now until Detroiters have the opportunity, starting with early voting in July and then leading up to August 5th. Detroit, I'm out there talking to residents every day to let them know, listen, you got somebody behind the scenes that can be in the right seat to tell you everything that's going on and to hold everybody else accountable and knows how to make sure that we get as much value from our assets and continue to reach every family. So I just get out there with the message, man.
man. Going back to you said something about the voter turnout being low in Detroit. That is a major thing. Like people don't go out unless Detroiters don't go out. I think the time where I saw Detroiters really activated was Obama.
That's the
And
only
they
thing.
probably and they were activated for this last election as well, because it was so detrimental. It was a lot on the line with Trump coming in.
Yeah.
So how do you get people to vote, man? How do you plan on doing that? Because you need that. You need to get those people off the couch, man. How do you
Well,
do that?
well, the first thing I did was I created some cold campaign merch. Uh, I made sure you could be part of the
Yeah, okay.
campaign any type of
That
way.
that always helps in
Yeah,
Detroit,
yeah,
the
yeah,
swag.
yeah, yeah. Trump has some gold shoes. I got customized gear. Bring your gear here. We'll customize it for you. We get you good. Uh, besides that, bro. when I meet people, when I meet the young man at the gas station that's coming in for, let's be honest with you, probably some cigar papers so he can go smoke or something,
Yeah.
or probably buying some snacks when he really need to be going to the grocery store. When I meet that young man at the gas station or the liquor store, because I make sure I hit all those places
Yeah.
frequently every day, at least 20 to 40 of them a day. And I meet at least one or two younger or older men, or middle age, all ages. Every now and again, a woman be coming in and out. But when I meet that person, you know what they tell me? They say, I ain't never seen, I ain't never seen no mayor before, or a candidate before, mayoral candidate before, or I ain't never seen nobody around here before, or they're inspired to re-engage in the voting process. I actually tell them, I say, listen, if Detroit don't get 100,000 Warren votes, I'm gonna have to come find you because it normally doesn't it normally doesn't get too much over
Yeah.
100,000 votes. And I want everybody to know that their vote counts, and that we need to set a goal. If we only been doing 100,000 votes, we need about 200,000, and that's not hard to do. It just means that everybody go grab one extra person and take them with
Yeah.
you. And so, like, reaching every family again means reaching everybody, which means that we're all accountable to do our part. And that's how I plan on getting out there with this message. I'm gonna do a speech at Shane Park at Aretha Franklin Theater for the Oak Park High School commencement, and there we're gonna film that. I'm probably gonna get an artist or two to probably do a song. I'm thinking about. It's kind of in the works. I ain't got. I want to break the news
You
on this
said you
one.
had some announcements, man. You said you had some
Yeah,
announcements.
yeah. The, the visual and the music is coming together. There's some commercials about to get shot, so um, that's a pre-announcement. The real announcement that I can at least let loose. What can I let loose on this show? Besides our community crawl that we just started, it's something else that's coming up big that I haven't released yet. Let me see. 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 Let me see.
When you say those billboards going up, so
Oh, I know what I can tell you. All right, so me and a few of the candidates, we probably are gonna release something in the next 24 to 48 hours. Yesterday, I was so shocked to know that the union leadership, um, AFL-CIO, did not allow me and Fred Durrell and a few other candidates to participate. But I was real shocked about me and Fred Durrell because Fred is a sitting elected official, been a state rep, and they said that he couldn't participate, nor could I. And the answers that we got, that we received, were so unsatisfactory that it totally showed the inequity, um, and the favoritism and the lack of democracy that our union leaders have. Now you know how much they talk about unions and how many people they represent and things like that. But if that's at that leadership, if that leadership level, at that leadership level, if we have those problems, and then our churches are called ineffective, and the pastors are called ineffective,
yeah,
then who's creating this unified agenda? And who lead are we following?
right.
This boggles my mind because it means that everybody's with their hand out on the side trying to take a deal and nobody's getting served. And so, um, quite honestly, man, the news that I share with you is that we're about to release a press release, and hopefully bring some attention to the fact that we got some problems, and I'm disappointed at union leadership for not opening up this doors to have every candidate heard. And they even told me I couldn't even come. They let other people in the room, but they said I couldn't even come. They said, "Are you a union member?" I said, "Wow." And that, I can't even show my face. So I put a mobile billboard outside, um, and so that everybody can see, that I'm pro union. You can go to my Instagram right now. I put a mobile billboard outside. I was like, all right, you gonna see me one way or the other. I will not be denied. I'm
Right.
self funded. I'll put a mobile billboard outside your house and outside your building. if you mess with me. I'll do it for 30 days if I feel like it. I will make it happen. You do not want to don't nobody want to mess with me. I'm worse than 50 Cent out here.
So,
You don't
so
want to
let me
mess with
let
me.
me get this straight. They're having is it like a town hall or
They had a
what is
forum last night.
okay.
At IBEW. It wasn't IBEW's event. I'm definitely in a good relationship with Byron Osborne over at IBEW, and they're willing to screen and interview. But AFL-CIO is a conglomerate. They kind of represent everybody, and for them to be the most um, hierarching umbrella for unions, and not really bring in everyone to be heard, it's so disappointing. It's so
Yeah,
disappointing. It means that it means that they're really not in touch with their members or the community that they claim they serve. But it shows you how how
yeah,
how total how totally blatant and how they can totally try to put a wool over your eyes
yeah.
and hide from you in plain sight. And then how do how do we continue to follow that is my question. I won't accept it, and you all shouldn't either.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. Well, yeah, that's unfortunate, brother, because that's the last thing we need to hear. But everybody's got an agenda, man. Everybody wants something.
Yeah,
So, it is what it is, man.
but they selling y'all off for pennies, man. Pennies on the dollar, and it's so sad, bro. It's so sad.
Yeah. Uh, one couple questions before we go. I wanted to ask with something about the violence. Somebody asked. I wanted to pull this up. Okay, maybe not.
I will say that
What?
I will say this because I want to give shout out Justice for Wine. Justice for Wine. I don't know if they found the driver yet, but it was a hit and run accident. Wine Smiley, also known as Wine White. Um, her funeral is on May 3rd at I believe at Christ Assembly of Deliverance Church on Mac, um,
Okay.
near East Grand and Swanson. Justice for Wine. A driver hit her, and her boyfriend. The boyfriend was in critical, but Gratiot has so many accidents that I don't even see how we don't have cameras on Gratiot. If you look at the reports, it's been tremendous. So it's not just gun violence. It's just that whole public safety is about
Yeah, yeah,
smart, safe
exactly.
neighborhoods where, and it's not about putting a speed bump on every street. That's one of the dumbest ideas in Detroit. We already got potholes, now we got speed bumps. What you want, a roller coaster ride? That don't make no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. It does make sense for us to really have cops walking the street, so you ain't got people speeding everywhere. Or you
Right,
put more
right.
cameras on other thoroughfares, and you do more AI configuration so you can see who done went down the street at 50 miles an hour. You don't need a speed bump to mess up all our cars for that. You need to figure out how to fill those potholes. I got a solution for that too. I got a solution for a lot of things. They just need to come and ask me half the time, and we can get some stuff done.
So I guess in closing, what do you what do you want the people to know in closing that are on the fence about you, who've never heard of you, who says that we have, let's just say you're young, you're young, and you're ambitious, and do we want another situation from the past, or how do we trust that you are coming with true honesty, integrity, and commitment?
Yeah,
What do we say?
get this. I love you, Detroit. It's real simple. I love you, Detroit. There's no other candidate that loves you more than me. Um, I can always talk a big game, talk about the people I can call, the people I can go around, and stuff like that. But that means nothing if I'm not helping somebody. And so,
Right.
for somebody who hasn't never really had to take a job, but God has blessed to continue to help people for the last 20 plus years, you have an advocate that no longer has to sit on the outside but can be on the inside fighting for you. And so when you talk about integrity, when you talk about possibly having another situation like we've had in the past where leadership gets corrupted or people take a handout or something on a payoff or something like that. You got to understand, I'm the one who helps to enforce and to call people out when they mess up. So what I look like taking a handout or something like that, ain't nobody buy me out. You can go downtown to some of the club owners. You can go to neighborhoods to some of the, you can ask anybody get this. You can ask any of these leaders right now, can they buy me out? And they'll tell you. Some of them have tried. They can't. Some of the candidates have tried to get me out. They can't buy me out because God is too good to me to
Yeah.
accept something to be able to have to go back and lie to people and totally disrupt my spirit and my conscience. Man, I live too peacefully 90% of the time until I just get frustrated about not being able to help as many people. But 99, but 95% of the time, I'm living so peaceful and in the favor of God. I don't have to worry about mistreating or offending or leaving somebody out. And you can count on me to continue to love on Detroit, to continue to touch people, everybody, regardless of how small or big the platform, in order to disrupt this pattern of complacency and not lack of engagement and total lack of what we used to have, which were ethics, morals, in the sense of community and family. I'm going to reach every family. I'm going to bring the most money jobs and homes. I'm going to make sure everybody in Detroit wins. Vote John Barlow for the mayor of Detroit.
There you have it. There you have it. I'm kind of biased, but I think you not only did you do a good job, but you did have some answers to some questions that because one thing about me personally, I don't live in Detroit right now, but one thing that I don't want to see is for that bag to stop coming in Detroit.
Can't
We
stop the
can't
bad.
we cannot go backwards. We can't go
Uh,
backwards.
man, so
Uh,
yeah,
People didn't want to spend money. So people can say it's a black white thing, but I mean, at the end of the day, man, uh, if you are aggressively moving forward, people will support you if you have a plan. You got a plan. You got a track record. People will support you. People will support you. So
no,
I'm looking forward to seeing this race as it builds. Like I say, the primary is August 5th. For anybody, make sure that you go out and vote. The election is November 5th. So we got time, but at the same time, look into all these candidates and really listen. Don't just take people because they have a name. Don't take people because of what family they come from. Don't take people because of the job that they hold now. Because we see how that can happen, man. We see how that can happen. So come on, Detroit. We need you to be active in the process. We need people to go out and vote. Like you said, we got 100,000 people voting in a city that has 700,000 people. So, I'm not sure the adult and felon ratio stopping people from voting. But we have to get out and vote or we cannot complain. Listen, man, I appreciate you being here, man. I appreciate you reaching out. I've enjoyed this interview. I feel like that you have some good ideas. You got good energy. Your vibe is good. I feel like you got a plan. I send my best to you, brother. And along this road, we'll talk again.
most definitely, brother Eric. I truly appreciate you, man. Keep on doing your thing, man. Keep on spreading just a good message, as you've always done from the things that I saw. You just really have a healthy conversation and really try to get things to the next level. And I appreciate all you do. Thanks for having me. Thank you to your listeners for engaging. I think those are some great questions, and I'm just glad that I'm just glad we had a chance to do this, Eric. For real. I appreciate you for having me.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you, brother.